Hi, Vincent Scully from Cart Integrator, and we're going to continue our training today looking at system, and today we're going to look at localization. So there's quite a bit within the localization options available within your Cart Integrator store. So I'm going to go step by step through these, and the first one we're going to look at is our store location. Now, our store location, we looked earlier on at system settings, and we saw that we had our store location specified. If we have multiple stores, we can add multiple store locations here. So if you have different branches, this is where you would add in that localized information regarding your different branches. Languages. The Cart Integrator e-commerce store has the capacity to run in multiple languages. At the moment, we only support the English language. So if you want to run your store in a different language, maybe reach out to us and we can discuss those various options. The next section we want to look at is currencies. So currencies allows you to specify the currencies that you're going to use within your store. And when we are looking at currencies, we want to specify which one is going to be the default value. So we can specify here, we see it says set to 1.0000 if this is your default currency. So I've specified that. We can specify whether or not we use a particular code, whether or not we say symbol left or symbol right. So if I put let me show you in our store. Let's go here for a moment, and we can see with our Mac, we've got our euro symbol to the right of our value. So I'm going to cut that and I'm going to paste it and say it goes to the left. And when I refresh this here, we can see that is now moved. So we can add in whatever currencies we're going to use within our store, and we can specify our value for that currency, the exchange rate, and if we've set our store to update on a daily basis, it will update on a daily basis. Stock statuses. Now, stock statuses can be configured any way that you wish. The default status is 2 to 3 days, in stock, out of stock, and pre-order. These are those values that you will display to your customers in the front end of your store. So if the item goes out of stock, you can specify that it will be back in stock in 2 to 3 days, should you know that that item is going to be replenished within 2 to 3 days. And these can all be configured easily. Our order statuses, fairly straightforward. These are order statuses you will use to determine what status your order is at. So you can configure these, simply add in the order status that you wish, and then you can assign that order status to orders as you receive them and they progress through the order process. Our return statuses, this is fairly much the same as all of those other statuses. Return actions are the actions that you will initiate. So are you going to issue a credit, are you going to refund it, or are you going to send a replacement? Or if a return comes in, you may have a particular way that you want to handle that for your business. Return reasons, this would be specified on the front end of your store. So let's go in and let's have a look. I'm going to need to log in as a customer. Let me just jump in as a customer here in our demo store, and let's have a look here. So we can see now we've got an order history. So I'm going to click on the view item here, and I'm going to select that I want to return this particular item. So I click on return, and my information is presented here, but now we've got the reason for return is available for the customer. So you might want to specify exactly why a customer is returning an item to you, and you can configure those from this screen here. So let's go back to system and localization and into return. So we've covered return reasons. Okay, the next section we're going to look at is countries. So your Cart Integrator e-commerce store comes populated with every country in the world. And we've got our country name, ISO code 2, which is a 2-digit ISO code, and our ISO code 3, which is a 3-digit ISO code. You can edit that information should you wish. And if you want to add in any particular information about address formats, or if a postcode is required for shipping to that address, you would specify that here. And if you want to disable a country, you can select that here. Now, our next section is zones. So the zones are, in Ireland, we have counties, and within our country. So the zone would be Dublin. Ireland is the country and the zone is Dublin. And you can assign a zone code should you wish. Now these are all pre-populated already, so you shouldn't have to change this, but you can certainly enable and disable and edit this information simply by clicking on the pencil icon. Now Geo Zones are a little bit more complicated. So within our Geo Zones we have the ability to configure taxes and shipping and possibly many other uses depending upon your business. But we may want to ship to particular zones in particular countries. So let's say I want to say where our shipping is now to Ireland, because that's where we are based. Okay, so we go shipping and we just say Ireland shipping. Actually, let's put that in here too. And now we're going to add a geo zone. So we're going to now go into Ireland and I'm going to add in all of those zones and I'm going to save that. Okay, so now we've got Ireland shipping. So when we are looking, and we'll cover this in another video, but if we go to extensions and then shipping, what we can do is we can look at the shipping options available. And let's say we just take our flat rate shipping and we want to specify to a particular zone a particular rate. So I could say that it is €5 to ship a product in Ireland with this flat rate shipping. Now there are a lot of shipping configurations that you can use with your Cart Integrator store, and I'm going to cover most of those in a separate training video, but just to give you a sense of how you would use these different zones. So let's go back to localization and our geo zones. So those geo zones can be configured in any way that you wish. So another example would be UK shipping. I know that within UK shipping you have islands such as the Hebrides Islands and the Isle of Man and the Channel Islands, and they are separate chargeable shipping zones. So if I'm shipping a product to mainland UK, I may have a shipping rate that is for mainland UK. But if I'm shipping the same product to the Channel Islands, even though it's in the UK, it may have a different shipping rate, and we need to be able to calculate that. And that's very important, because if you've watched some of my other videos, I will talk about shipping and how quickly and easily you can lose money on shipping if you don't configure it correctly. So that's one example. So even though the Channel Islands or Jersey or the Isle of Man or the Hebrides are within the UK, they are handled differently from a shipping perspective. Also, you can set up your VAT zones. So you can set whether you charge shipping to the UK customer or Irish customer, or if you're in the US, it may be that you're specifying your tax rates on a per state basis, because you may have federal tax and you may have state tax, and that needs to be configured. And you can do that in this section here. We look then at taxes. So we've got tax classes, and our tax classes are whether or not we have taxable products, or we have an example of downloaded product here. So within our taxable goods, we are specifying a tax rate. I'm going to cover tax rate next. We're specifying how that tax is calculated, and we can set priority. So priority is like a sort order. Let's take a look at our tax rates. So let's say, for example, we're going to send, say products are to the US. So we're going to say US tax, and the tax rate might be 15%. And we are going to specify which customer groups can avail of that tax, and then we're going to specify our geo zone. So we would need to set up a geo zone for that particular US tax rate. So that's just going to go back into your zones, geo zones, set up a US tax rate, and add in the country. So let's do that for a moment, just so that we're clear. So I'm going to go back to my geo zones, and I'm going to add in the geo zone for US tax. And we're just going to say US tax again. And now I'm going to select the United States. So I select the United States. And in this case, I'm going to say it's all zones within the United States. Or you can break that down state by state should you require. I'm going to click Save. And then I'm going to go back down to my taxes. I'm going to set my tax rate, We're going to go back to our US tax rate, and now I'm going to specify my US tax. So the Cart Integrator e-commerce store is very versatile and will allow you to calculate, for example, taxes or shipping. You just need to understand how the zones and geo zones actually work. Our next section is length classes. So length classes, we define the lengths that we're going to use when we're shipping our products in our store. And when we look at products, so I'm just going to jump into a product here, and we're going to go to our data section, and we can see we have our length classes. We can specify the length, the width, and the height of that product. And as I mentioned in a previous video, this is important from a shipping perspective. If your carrier is using dimensional weight values and you're calculating based upon dimensional weights, you need to specify those length classes, and you need to specify what they are so that you're charged correctly. So again, back to localization, and we are looking then at our weight classes. So our weight classes are pretty much the same as our length classes. We're defining the weight classes that we are going to use, and we've set this kilogram to be our default value. Okay, so that's localization pretty much covered. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and look out for more training videos from Cart Integrator.